Hello and welcome to the latest episode of my knitting podcast. I'm not too sure which episode we're on. I think it's episode 24. For everybody who's new to this channel, a very warm welcome. My name is Anastasia. I'm a knitter based in the southeastern part of England. I live here with my partner and yeah, I'm originally from Germany, so that's why my accent might be a bit different. But I've been living in England now for 2.5 years. And yeah, for everybody who's coming back, thank you so much for spending your precious knitting time with me. It's very much appreciated. I am so grateful for your lovely comments under my last video, and I'm sorry I didn't get back to them straight away. I have been really busy. So if you're new to this channel, normally I give like a really small, like quick life update at the beginning of the video, and then I start with the knitting content a bit later. So if you want to skip the live chat, you can just scroll forward. I'll have timestamps in the description box down below. Yeah, so the last weeks have been really busy. I had my yearly simulator check for work, so I had to study quite a bit for that. I was really focusing on that, but it went all good and everything was fine. So now I am, well, basically you get like a signature on your license and you can work for another year. It's always great if everything runs smoothly. Yeah, and now I'm actually on winter leave, so I won't be working over Christmas and New Year's, but I have a second job that I'm doing from home, so I have to do quite a lot of work for that. So I'm still busy, and then obviously there's Christmas, so everybody's busy, everybody's preparing things, and so am I, but it's going on well, and I have everything mostly ready. You will see what I haven't done yet, but I'll talk about that later, about my gift knitting. Before I start with the knitting content, I just wanted to remind you of the knit-along that I am currently hosting. So I just wanted to encourage you to finish your works in progress that you might have still on your needles, and yeah, just to like finish them before the start of the new year. And therefore I'm hosting this knit-along. So it is called the Free Your Needles 2021 knit-along, and it is hosted on Instagram and on Ravelry. So on Instagram you can just use the hashtag, and if you tag me, that would be great as well. And then on Ravelry you can just enter, well, just join my my Free Your Needles podcast group, and in there I have a thread for finished objects, so you can just post your finished objects in there. And then I also got a chatter thread where people have shared what they're knitting on and stuff. So yeah, I already had lovely entries over there, and as well on Instagram, yes, on both platforms. And basically all WIPs are welcome that have been started before the 1st of November. So the knit-along runs from the 1st of November till the end of the year, but all the WIPs should have been started before the 1st of November, just because obviously I want to encourage you to finish your WIPs. And I have some lovely prizes for you. I haven't shown them before, so I thought it would be a good idea to show them now, just to motivate you maybe a little bit to finish your works in progress. So let's start with the first prize. So Irina from Stricken ohne Naht, she was so kind to give me a copy of her pattern for the Loretuch. The Loretuch is a shawl that I knitted this year. Let me just go and grab it, 1 second. Alright, I'm back. So yeah, the Loretuch is a shawl that I knitted earlier this year. She was so kind and gifted me that yarn, so unfortunately I think with the light it won't show that well, and I had it like scrumpled up in my bag, in my cupboard, but it is a lovely shawl. So this one I knitted out of the Studio Linen by Erica Knight, so it's more like a summer shawl really, this one, but obviously you can make it out of whatever yarn you have. And yeah, this is absolutely lovely, and she donated one copy of that pattern. So now I had actually planned to knit another one of these, and I bought the yarn for it, but I'll be honest, I don't really have the time to knit another summer shawl, and I don't think I'm going to be using that many summer shawls, so I thought it would be nice if I would contribute to that knit along as well by giving away some yarn. So I've got 2, 4, 6 skeins here of the Studio Linen by Erica Knight, which is a 85% recycled linen and then 50% linen, and it is a DK weight yarn, so approximately, what does it say, 120 meters, and these are 50 gram skeins. So 6 of these, that will be plenty for the big version of the Le Retour. So this is the first prize. The second prize is a pattern by lovely Laura from Penrose Knits. She was so kind to donate one of her patterns. So basically the one that wins this prize will just be able to choose any of her patterns, and she's got really nice ones. She's got the school run collection, where she's got like a headband, a hat for adults and children, and mittens and fingerless mittens, and then she's got some sock patterns, so you've got a really nice choice there. And I've knitted her school run headband actually. I'll show it later to you in the finished object part, but yeah, so this is the second part. And then the third one is a needle set. So this needle set has been donated by KnitPro, so they were so kind and sent me 2 sets, one for me and one for you. And this is the Self-Love gift set by KnitPro. It is a set that includes 8 pairs of interchangeable needle tips in the sizes 3.5mm to 8mm. You get 4 cables in 3 different lengths with some accessories to it, and then you also get a knitting journal. So I haven't opened that one yet because I got it a couple of days ago, and I thought I will open it with you guys. So shall we do that? There we go. So it is set up like a book, so really sweet. And then it says it's time to be happy, and then basically you open it and then you get all these beautiful needles. So they're wooden needles similar to the symphony ones, so they're made out of birch wood, which I love. I use them quite a lot, to be honest. So I'm using my symphony set on a project that I'm working on at the moment. It's a really nice finish, to be honest. So this is like the first page of the book, and then the first chapter, and then the second chapter is, so you can find the knitting accessories there. So there are 2 little pouches, yeah, with all the cables. What else in there? The end caps and the cable keys, so you can connect your needles with the cables. And then you also get, oh yeah, you get a bookmark. There we go. So it is a small little bookmark. It's crocheted. It looks really lovely. It's got like a little pearl in the middle. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm going to put that back in here. And then you get, in the third chapter, you'll be able to find the knitting journal. So it's like a small little journal that was perfect for like a project bag, and yeah, you get loads of pages for notes, and then yeah, you can put in like what yarn you used, what needles you used, what notions you used, so different, can like organize your knitting projects. And then you've got like an index where you see like what knitting needle sizes are, how they convert from metric into US sizes and crochet hook sizes, and you get knitting abbreviations as well. It's a really nice little booklet that you can just put in your project bag and keep track of your knitting. So this is the third prize. So I will choose random winners for this knit along. I will see where there are the most entries. So because I've got 3 prizes so far, I will probably choose a winner. So choose 2 winners from the platform where there are the most entries, and then I will choose the third winner from the other platform. So I'm just trying to get that back in. I hope I didn't mess that up. So these needles are really beautiful, and actually you can just like keep it like a book in your bookshelf, which is quite handy, because honestly I've got quite a few needle sets by now and it's getting a bit messy, so that's actually quite a nice idea. I'm not too sure whether I'm going to keep them or whether I'm going to give them away at a later stage, or maybe give them to a friend, just because I've got already 2 needle sets. I've got a symphony needle set and the ginger needle set, which are very similar, so I'm not too sure whether I need another wooden needle set. Well, you can never have enough needles, right? But I'm just running out of space, so there we go. So these are the 3 prizes for the knit along. I think they're really nice. I hope you think that too. And I would love to see you enter the knit along. I think it's really fun to see what people have finished. Some people have finished projects that they had on their needles for like 2 years, which I think is great, because then you have, as soon as you finish something, then you can really concentrate on something new. Whereas I find if you have too many projects still like lingering around, then I find it really hard to free yourself from them. Alright, I think that's all about the knit along. Let's start with the knitting content. So the first finished object is the Maritime Sweater that I knitted for my boyfriend. And if you've been a viewer of this podcast for a little while, you know that this was like a long-term work in progress. First of all, because I've actually knitted 2 by now. The first one didn't fit, so last year I finished the sweater just in time for his birthday, and when it was his birthday and he tried it on, it was way too small. And that was because I basically based my decision on the size on a sweater that I knitted a few years before. But since then my gauge had changed quite significantly, so it turned out way too small. I'm actually quite a tight knitter by now. I don't know. I'm actually surprised. I thought your tension would get a bit looser with time, or maybe not. Well, for me my gauge is much. I've got much more tension on the yarn. So I'm knitting a smaller gauge now. So the first one that I knit was this one that I have shown you on my first on a previous podcast already. I've shown you pictures where I wear it. It is actually really nice, if I may say so. So this is a self-drafted design that I made for him. He loves fishing, so that's why I've put the fishes here and the waves, and then I've put some mountains up here, so that was the idea. It actually is even better visible on the camera than it is in real life, to be honest. And then, so this was the first version that I can actually wear now. So I've been wearing that a few times now, especially in the summertime. I think it's really great because you can wear it in the evenings when it's getting cold, and you don't have to wear a jacket. You just wear that one. The second one that I knit now for him, and that fits. And this is completely, so the first one I sort of used a stitch count from a pattern that I made before, and I just tweaked I tweaked the numbers up here just to make it work around the yoke. Whereas the second one I completely made from scratch, so I actually had a proper first go in designing a sweater. So this is the sweater number 2, Maritime Sweater number 2. So again, I use this the waves here on the hem, on the bottom hem and the sleeves, and then I inserted the fishes again. And then instead of mountains, he didn't say he didn't like the mountains, but he was asking if he could have something else, so I decided to go for birds over here. And then up here he insisted on having some bells up here. That's just like a personal thing. So yeah, we've got bells around the yoke, which are not that well visible, but he likes them. And then as a little detail, I embroidered a little heart on the inner side of the neckband, just so he would know where the back and the front side is, because I'll be honest, I didn't do any short rows. So most of the Icelandic style sweater that I've knitted so far didn't include short rows, and I don't really, I know it is a bit nicer when the neckband is a bit further up, but well, I didn't do that for most of them, so I didn't do that for this design either. So basically they are really reversible, if you want to say so. The only thing that you will have is, because you start, so you have the start of the row somewhere on the, normally you have the start of the row of the color work somewhere here on the back left shoulder. So that's why it is not completely reversible, because you would have like a bit of a line here, but to be honest, it's not very visible. And then obviously, depending on the motif, sometimes it's more visible, but on this motif it's not really visible. You can't really tell where the beginning of the row is, which I quite like. So that is finally the finished Maritime Sweater number 2. It's done, it's finished, it's off my needles. This was quite a lot of work, to be honest, but once I really sat down and did the maths, it worked quite well, and I'm actually quite pleased. And I know some people have asked me if I would publish the pattern for this one, and I am really tempted. The only problem is my computer died twice during this process, and both times it deleted all the charts that I made. So I had the charts all made on Stitch Mastery, and unfortunately I had to reset my computer completely because it was completely broken, and both times I lost both of the charts. So I can obviously redo them. They would not be exactly the same, most probably. It would be very similar. So I don't know when and if I'm gonna do that, but until then, yeah, let me know if you would be interested at all. I know I've never designed a pattern, so that would be something completely new to me. And because it is actually quite complicated with color work and different sizes, and with a fairly complex motif, I'm not too sure whether it's really worth the work, especially for this one, because it's not really something you would wear maybe every day, unless it's your style, but it's not like everyday fashion really, you know what I mean? It's more like outerwear, or if you live in a colder country maybe, then it is. Yeah, so finally this is off my needles. The only problem I had is actually a dye lot problem. So you can see the difference. So the body hem, I had some, I can't remember which, I think it called blue indigo or something. So I had one left over from the previous project, and it had a completely different, so the dye lots were actually quite different, but when he's wearing it you can't really tell. And I asked him if he wouldn't mind, and he said no, he wouldn't, so otherwise I would have had to rip out the body completely and start from the body from scratch. But yeah, luckily he said no, it's okay, he doesn't mind, he doesn't see it, so I'm really happy. So this is done and off my needles, and that's actually one of my entries for my own cull, even though I obviously can't win, but I'm really happy that this is finished. The second finished object is actually the sweater that I'm wearing. So this was a test knit for Lily from Lily Kate Makes, or Lily Kate Fronts on Ravelry. And I saw this pattern, or I saw the call for testers on her Instagram, and I was really, well, I really wanted to knit that one because I thought it is something that you can wear every day. Even though I straight away had the idea of making it a bit of a festive sweater just by the color choices. So first of all, let me show you the sweater. I thought I'm gonna be able to like make cutaways, but I don't think I'll have the time today because it's actually getting dark already. So I'll do that now. You just have to live with this kind of presentation. So it is a colorwork sweater around the yoke, and then you have a bit of color work on the sleeves as well, which are then made into, I can't remember what you call them, but basically you cut, they're like little, they're like folded over. Let me check what the name for them is. Okay, these are actually called, it's called piping, sorry. That's the problem that you have if you don't record in your native language, even though I wouldn't know what it would be called in Germany either. Yay, never mind. So yeah, you get have like a bit of piping here, which I think is a really nice detail. So just like a little bump. And what else? Is there anything else to say about that one? So this is worked top down. You start with a folded neckline, which I really love, and it is a twisted rib as well, which I really like the look of. And then you work your work down, you do the color work, and then it's actually quite like really easy because you just knit the sleeves. There's some decreases on the sleeves, and then you have a twisted rib again, tubular bind off, just to make the details nice and neat. And that's it. It's really, like, if you have never done color work, I totally can recommend to knit this pattern because it's just got a little bit of the color work. It's also got like, so the floats here are not too long, so you don't have to weave them in. They're short enough that you can just leave them as they are, but they're also a bit longer, so you can practice with your tension in the color work. And let's talk about the yarn that I used. So I used a good mix of yarns, and that was actually like, first of all, I wanted to buy all her yarn because I wanted to try it out. So I decided to go with the Axis. So this is a yarn by Lily Kate herself. It's 90% merino and 10% Surya pucker. It comes in 50 gram skeins, and I used the colourway Penumbra, which is like a really nice dark green. Absolutely, when I saw that colour I was like, I have to go for that one. Really love it. It looks very festive as well, so I can use it as my Christmas jumper. And then for the contrasting colours I used a nice big mix of yarns. I used fingering weight yarns, held double, I used a DK weight yarn, and I held them all together with some mohair. So I'll show you which yarns I used. Let me just find them because it's an absolutely chaos here. You would be laughing your heads off if you could see how chaotic my living room now is. So for the yellow I used the Milburn DK, which is a leftover that I had from the, what's it called? The Poisoned Apple Top, also by Lily. This is a yarn by Eden Cottage Yarns. Really love that base. It is really great. Love the colour as well. And I combined it with the Onion Knit silk mohair. I've still got a little bit of that in my stash, but that's basically the rest of the ball that I had started. And you really need just small quantities. So for my size, I think they were all around 20 meters of the contrasting colours. So really, just really small quantities for the contrast, which is really great because you can use up stash yarn. So the Milburn DK was maybe a little bit thinner than the worsted weight yarn together with the DK, but I think it blocked out quite well. I was a bit worried initially, especially because I used that yarn straight, so I unraveled a swatch that I had, and you can see, and I just knitted straight away from that, so it looked a bit uneven when I was knitting on it, but luckily it evened out really well with blocking. So that's the yellow. Then for the red one, I went for a beautiful hand-dyed yarn by my friend Laura from Laura Knits. So she sent me that skein at the beginning of the year, and I used it for a sock that I knit during the Sock Madness. And I was thinking, well, I really want to knit something else with it. And I'm so happy it worked out well, so I used 2 strands of that with 1 strand of the Rowan silk mohair, kid silk case it's called, sorry. Yeah, so I think I used one strand. I think by accident sometimes I used 2, but you can't tell. So 1 strand would have been enough because this one's actually quite plump, so didn't really need that. I forgot to say, for the yellow one I used 2 strands of the kid silk mohair just because it was a bit thinner. And then the green one, so this light green one, is a color that I had in my stash. It is a hand-dyed yarn from my lovely friend Marina from Strawberry Patches Yarns. She's based in New Zealand, and she sent me that one quite a while ago. And I was looking for, so initially I wanted to go for white, and I'll insert a picture here that I had on my phone from a swatch that I made. So I thought white would be quite cool and would be quite festive, but when I knitted up, it actually looked a bit like a lighthouse. So I really didn't like the contrast between the red and the white. It was just a little bit too much. So I wanted to tone it down, and I had a look through my stash, and I found this lovely DK weight yarn in the colorway Fern from my friend Marina, and I used that one, and I think it worked out really well. I really love the contrast. It hasn't got a lot of contrast between the yellow and the lighter green, but I actually quite like that, and it makes it look very, well, a little bit less festive, so the combination of these colors, but it's still festive enough for me to wear it during the holiday season. To be honest, like, I admire people who knit Christmas sweaters, but because I know how long it takes to knit a Christmas sweater, I'd rather have something that I can wear the whole year. Yeah, so these are my contrasting colors, and then I used a kid silk mohair. I can't remember, I think some Rico design that I had, just a really small quantity. I was playing yarn chicken, so I had to make sure that, yeah, this one would be the least amount that I had to use. And it worked out really well. I absolutely love the pattern. That was super easy to follow. If you ever see a testing call from Lily and you're worried that you might have to really test her patterns, honestly, she's one of the designers where I find it is almost like a finished pattern. You get the design so that it's already in a really nice format. It's easy to read. She's absolutely lovely if you ever have any problems, or if you have anything that you like to maybe address. She's super easygoing about that, and yeah, I love test knitting for Lily. That is always nice. So her pattern is coming out on this Friday, so I think it's the 16th. I'm recording this on a Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday today, and I don't know when I will have that episode ready, so yeah, maybe on Friday, maybe on Saturday, but by the time I have uploaded this episode, I'm sure it will be available already. So go and knit your own circumference sweater. You can do that. You can do that really quick because it's worsted weight yarn, and I think I used 5mm needles. It knits up super quick. It is super easy to knit as well, and you might be able to finish yours just before Christmas if you're still looking for something to knit. If you don't have too many gift knits to finish, I don't know what you're up to. Yeah, this is the second FO. The third FO is a school run headband. Sorry, I always struggle with the name. Yeah, the school run headband by Laura from Penrose Knits. So I saw the pattern, I really liked it. I applied for a test knit, but I was way too late. And so I decided to make one anyway. So once the pattern was published, I purchased it and I made a school run headband for my niece. I already wrapped it up and it is ready in Germany for her for Christmas. So I don't have it with me, but I'll insert a picture here. If you remember, I made a love note for her out of a Rico yarn that I bought at a knitting show in London. So I had some leftover from that and I used that leftover. Oh, here it is. I actually had it next to me. So this is a merino singles in the colourway Grape Fonte, and I combined it with a mohair. So this is a mohair that I bought in a D-stash by La Bien-Aimée in the colourway Madeleine. It's a mohair silk, 70-30%. So really nice mohair, and this one was lovely as well to work with. So really nice combination, and the headband turned out really nice, which I'm super pleased about. The sizing was really good as well. But yeah, that's all I have to say about the school run headband. I think I'm gonna make some more. I want one as well for myself, but I don't have any time because I have so many whips. I have some whips that I have to finish very, very soon. Otherwise we're gonna have a repetition of last year's Christmas and birthday dilemma. So let's go over to whips. Enough of finished objects. I don't think I had another finished object. If I had, I will insert it in the next episode. Alright, first whip is, I've shown it to you before, I'm not going to talk too much about it because you've seen it before. It is the Trigradient Shawl by Stephen West. Yes, Stephen West. So after I participated at Shellography this year, I decided to make another pattern of his. And this will be a lovely big shawl by the end for my partner. So it's his birthday just after Christmas, so I decided to knit him something for his birthday and for Christmas. So this is probably his Christmas present. So I gave him the option to pick a West Yorkshire Spinners Exquisite 4-ply and a Zauberball Schoppel 100. So this is a pure merino. And he went for these two colours, which are very well contrasting enough. And there it is. It is actually quite big already. I'm really pleased about that. I'm already on the second ball now for this. Last time I showed this one to you in the last episode, I actually put a marker. I was somewhere here and I thought, oh, I've done quite a big already. But actually, so now what I'm doing now is I stopped counting. I don't really know how long I was supposed to knit further. I'm gonna try to finish both balls. If it is getting too big, I'm gonna stop. But I don't think so. I think it will actually be quite nice to make it a bit bigger. And I've got about 80 grams left of each. I'm trying to knit 10 grams at least a day. Maybe if I manage to maybe knit 20 grams each day from now on, then it will be definitely finished. But at the same time, I have another whip that I'm working on. So this is the first whip that really needs to be finished as soon as possible. And then I have a second whip that I started 2 days ago, maybe. And it is called Riddari by Védís Jónsdóttir, she's an Icelandic designer. And it is a lovely colourwork pattern. Let me just go and grab the book. I've got the book. I'm really not well organised today, I'm sorry. So, I've got the book, Knitting with Icelandic Wool. If you like to knit with Icelandic wool and you just want to like try out some different patterns, I can really recommend this one. I have knitted quite a few of that out of this book. So it's 65 patterns. and it's all kinds of patterns. It's like patterns for children and for adults, both male and female. And the one that I went for is the Riddari. I think I've mentioned it already. Now I have to find it. I'm sorry, I'm not well prepared today. Normally I'm better prepared. Let me see if I can find it. I think I just saw it. There it is. So it is a very well-known pattern. If you go on the Ravelry page, there are like thousands of people who've knitted that already. It will be looking like that. There we go. Can you see that? There we are. It's a lovely, lovely jumper. I think Emma from Woolly Mammoth Fibers, she knitted already a few. Yeah, I've seen it at loads of different versions, and I really wanted to knit it, and I went into my stash and had a good look if I had enough yarn, and actually I have more than enough, obviously, but I've got a lot of Icelandic yarn in my stash, a lot of Plötulopi. So I decided, instead of using Letlopi as it is recommended for this pattern, I went for Plötulopi. So I have started 2 days ago. I know it's not a lot, but hey, it's a men's sweater. Yeah, it's quite big. So I changed the pattern ever so slightly. I'm using a bit of different colors just because I'm playing a bit of yarn chicken, to be honest. I've only got one color of each contrast colors. So I've got one plate of the darker blue and then one of the lighter blue. So I'm trying to alternate the colors fairly evenly, so I will have enough of both, because the dark blue is normally you're using the most of in the pattern, but yeah, I'm trying to change it. So I used, instead of the dark blue, I used the lighter blue for the ribbing, just to change it up. And then I also added so normally you have 4 colors, but I added a 5th color. So these crosses were meant to be unicolored, just one color, but I made them out of a lighter grey and a white. Can't really tell. I don't know whether it was worth the extra work, because then you end up with rows of 3 colors, but never mind. Yeah, so I'm knitting this one in a size medium, and I have to finish that one ideally before the beginning of next week, but it's getting more and more, well, impossible, because I'm already way behind now. I had planned to finish at least the body until the sleeves in like 2 days, but this has taken me 3 days now because I've been focusing on the shawl. So yeah, I'm behind. Yeah, I'm using 2 strands of Plötulopi, so this works really well if you want to replace Letlopi for Plötulopi. And these are the colors plus a darker grey, so plus the darker grey. There we are. So it's gonna be blue again. It's always getting blue jumpers, but I didn't have the time to order more yarn, and actually I wanted to use some stash yarn, and I'm really happy that I am actually using the stash yarn. So it will be lovely. It will be lovely. I just have to yeah, get a wiggle on. I need to hurry up with that. These are my 2 whips. I've started a 3rd whip, and then I ripped it back because I didn't like the needles I was working with, but I'll talk about that in my acquisitions part. Yeah, let's go with the acquisitions. The first acquisition that I have is totally inspired by lovely Rebecca from the Creator Bear podcast. So Rebecca, I mean, you've probably seen that before, but she's been talking about Woolly Knits. And actually, so Woolly Knits is a yarn company that is based close by, so they're very close by to Manchester. And they sell yarn on cones, and they're really affordable. So they're not only cones, they also have hanks, and they sell socks and all sorts. So woolly products from British wool, made out of British wool. And I've been actually to their shop. They used to have a shop, and I've been there maybe 2 or 3 years ago. At that time I was really just knitting with Icelandic wool. I was really reluctant to knit with anything else, so I didn't buy any yarn then. But when I saw it on her podcast, I remembered that I was in a shop. I've been in the shop before, and it's actually really close by to where my partner's from. So I went on the website, and they had this absolutely lovely, these big hangs, like 200-gram hangs of fingering weight yarn. And I decided to get some. So I got 3 of these because I thought if I hold them double, then they knit up faster. So I got 600 grams, which will be enough for a sweater for me, I believe. And yeah, absolutely lovely. I think it's called Apple Green. They're super affordable. I think I paid maybe £8 for 200 grams, which is really, really affordable. And I've ordered some other things from there, quite a lot of other things. But because they're Christmas presents, I can't talk about that. But everybody of my family will be getting a little something from there. Because I wasn't really up to knit for everybody. I don't have the time. So they're getting something from there. And that's it. Yeah, that's the first acquisition. The second acquisition is actually one that I got kindly sent by my lovely friend Marina from the Strawberry Patches podcast. Marina was so lovely. She sent me some yarn, some hand-dyed yarn, and it's already the second time she's done that, and I didn't ask for it. She sent it to me. So if you remember, I sent her some hand-knitted cardigans for her daughters, and she just had the second baby. So if you've been a follower of Marina and you haven't seen yet, she had just had her second child, and she was so kind to send me 4 skeins of her beautiful hand-dyed yarn. So she sent me 2 of the so this is a DK merino in the colourway Lichen Moss. Ooh, I'm not sure if I said that right. And then she sent me that one, which is a fingering weight yarn. It's merino and Donegal, so 85-15%, and the colourway spicy orange. And this one will be a lovely shawl. I have some ideas for that one. So yeah, absolutely lovely. And then one that I really wanted to try is her sock base. So this one is a DK weight sock. It's on a sparkle DK base, so it's got some stellina in there, 5% stellina. It's a merino, so 75% merino, 20% nylon, and 5% stellina in the colorway Magic Dust. And I saw it on her website, and she made a sock herself. So I saw that, and I really wanted to make one as well. So I was really, really pleased that she sent me that one. And I already started to knit with this one, but I had a problem. So I wanted to knit with 9-inch circulars because I quite like to knit with 9-inch circulars. And I recently bought some higher 9-inch circulars, higher sharps 9-inch circulars in like bigger sizes, so 3.5 millimeters, and then 2.75, 2.5, 2.25. So I bought 4 different sizes, and I don't like them. So compared to, so I've got one Chergu 9-inch circular on with the red circular. So I've got them, and I really like that one. But I can't knit with these ones. There's not much of a difference. So the only difference I can tell is the needle is ever so slightly shorter on the higher ones, like maybe a few millimeters. And then the other difference is the cable is not as it's more flexible on the higher ones. And the third one is the needle tip is much sharper on the higher ones because the higher sharp, so they're quite sharp. And I think they're a little bit too sharp for my liking, a little bit too sharp. Even though I like sharp needles, these are just a little bit, yeah, too sharp, as I said. So yeah, unfortunately I don't like the higher sharps. It's just personal preference, to be honest. The cables are a little bit too flexible, and so I found it really hard to knit with them. They were hard on the hands, so I decided to rip them back because I didn't like the knitting experience. I'm contemplating whether I should knit them with double pointed needles, because I've got loads of double pointed needles, and I've got the, what are they called, the Nova Cubics double pointed needles, which are really nice to hold on to, or whether I should order some Chergu 9-inch. The idea was that I really wanted to knit some like vanilla socks and not think about it, and I find with double pointed needles they're not so good for on the go knitting, because it's easy to lose one, or yeah, to lose some stitches when you take them out of the bag. So yeah, I'm not too sure, but I will probably pop these in on my Ravelry page, on the willing to sell page, and see if somebody enjoys them more than I do, because yeah, there's no point of me holding on to them if I don't enjoy them. The last acquisition is one that my partner got for me. Really surprisingly, he got me a yarn advent calendar. So I went to Germany at the end of November, and because I had to sort out some paperwork, and I said to him that I was preparing a advent calendar for him. So I got I think 27 little mini gifts, like a countdown from first advent to his birthday. And so I got really nice little gifts, all sorts of different things, like some bigger ones, some smaller ones, just some traditional German beers, some shower gels, you name it, all different kind of things. So I told him that I got him a little something for Advent, and then he went online and ordered me a yarn advent calendar. So he got that from Etsy, I believe. It's from Rainbow Fusions. I've never heard of them before, but they say that, so it's an indie dyer of luxury wool and natural yarns in bright and vibrant colorways. Karina Skelton, and yeah, it is very vibrant, so totally different than my normal choice, but I really like it. So it went from like it's a color gradient, which I love. I'm not going to show to you all the different colors because I don't want to spoil it for anybody, and I don't think I've seen so many different yarn advent calendars. I think there's only so much you can see of different colorways of mini skeins, so I'm going to show them to you maybe at the end, once I've opened them all, or maybe when I'm working with them, because I've already got a few good ideas on how I can use them up. But I'm showing you today's mini skein, so if you have that one and you haven't opened yours one yet, just look away for 30 seconds. So that's today. It's a really nice, vibrant, like a blue mixed with the greens and really dark greens in there. So we just recently went from light greens into the blues, and I really love these colors. And I was watching Noble Character Crafts podcast yesterday night, and she showed this crocheted, she had like a crocheted, what's it called? A cushion cover. So I'm thinking of making that as well. Maybe with that yarn, I'm not too sure, but my partner saw it and was just like, oh, that's really lovely. Can you make one like this for us? And I thought, hey, actually, yeah, I might do that. So that is maybe what I'm going to do with it. These are all my acquisitions, I think. I probably forgot some, but I'm not, yeah. It's been a while, so I lost track whether I've shown them to you or not. The next part of my podcast, where I usually tell you what I've been inspired by. And the first pattern that I'm thinking of knitting in the new year is the Avena. It's a new pattern. It's a colorway, so it's a colorwork sweater, yoke sweater by Jennifer Steingas. Absolutely lovely. And I saw that one of her testers knitted in Plotolopi. and because I have so much plötulote in my stash, I think I'm gonna knit that one for myself. It is a really nice design, and I think it will be lovely to knit on over, well, in the beginning of the year. The other pattern that I have ready, I actually have the yarn ready and it's all caked up. It's the Love Note, and I've talked about that before, but I'm gonna knit one for myself. It's ready, it's here. I'm gonna use this combination. Unfortunately, it blows out a bit, so this grey, so this is a, I can't remember the colorway, but it's a wicker yarn as well. It's Merino Singles, and it's got some dark purple in there as well, so I think it will be a nice combination. So this will be the first project after I finish both of my whips. This will be the first one that I'm knit on, and the socks, and that's it. I'm gonna be fully selfish over the new year and knit for myself. Yeah, and then the other thing I was very inspired by is I actually won a knit-along, or won a prize in a knit-along, which I didn't expect at all. So I saw that Alexandra was talking about the Love Note cull that Nicole from Prof Pearls was hosting, and that brought up the idea of knitting a Love Note for my niece. So I didn't show much of the process on Instagram at all, but I tagged the last picture, or the finished picture, on Instagram, and then suddenly I had a message saying that I had won one prize. And so I was able to choose an ebook from Knits. So I went for the Strange Brew after Nicole was so kind and she recommended that one to me. So I had a good look, and I really liked that one. Probably as well, first of all, I love colour work, and I find colour work sweaters really great to knit. I love Knits patterns, and then another thing that really contributed to my decision to go for that one is that all the pictures were taken for this ebook were taken on a trip to Iceland. And so I chose that one, and I have it in my library now, and I'm probably gonna knit something out of it during the next year, just because it is a really great book. So if you're looking for a colour work book, this one is probably, it gives you like a recipe for any kind of gauge, so you can knit it up in any kind of yarn. Regarding podcasts, I have a few recommendations for you as well. So I have lately, as I've watched the first episode from Anastasia. She's the designer behind the Bluebird box, and she started her own podcast, and I just watched her first episode. It was really lovely. So if you would like to go over there and watch her first episode, I can totally recommend. I haven't finished it completely, so I need to finish that maybe today. But yeah, it's nice to see new podcasts that are popping up on YouTube. The other podcast that I really loved watching lately is the podcast by Sherry. It's Ollie and Bella, and she makes me giggle so many times. I love watching her. She's got a really nice style of knitting, so I really love her blankets. She makes absolutely lovely blankets, and I'm totally inspired to knit, or to crochet a blanket next year. That's my plan. But yeah, totally inspired by Sherry from the Ollie and Bella podcast. What else have I been up to? So I have been watching, I've watched Gilmore Girls. I started from like episode 1, and I'm now on series 2. I'm about to finish series 2, and I've really enjoyed that. It was really like something to like switch off in the evening. Like, especially when I was studying, I really just loved watching something easy. So I found that quite nice. And then the other thing, we've been doing loads. I need to get the cards. I'm sorry, it's the last time I'm getting up today. 1 second. So we've been playing cards a lot lately. So yeah, after dinner we have started to play cards every evening because we got absolutely hooked on Monopoly Deal. If you're looking for a nice Christmas, last minute Christmas present for it doesn't need to be kids, honestly. I mean, it says 8+, but yeah, we really enjoy it, and we're 2 adults. You can play it between 2 and 5 people, and actually we thought it would be boring just between 2 of us, but it's actually quite fun. And we're getting better and better, and initially it might just seem like a Monopoly is just like luck, but actually this is quite tactical, and you have to, the more we play it the better we get, and it's actually really funny because you get different strategies on how to play it. So this is a really good recommendation if you, well, it's a recommendation of a really good game. It's really affordable. I think you can get it for a few pounds. At least here in the UK you can get it in almost supermarkets, and yeah. Totally can recommend this one. It's fun, it's yeah, we've fallen out a few times about that one, but it's not as bad as Monopoly, like the real Monopoly, and it doesn't take that long. A game takes you like 10-15 minutes, so it's not like one of these endless Monopoly nights where everybody falls out at the end and nobody wants to spend the rest of the evening together. So this is probably the last time that I filmed before Christmas. Yeah, this is the last time. I won't have time to film again. But I hope you, if you're celebrating, I hope you have a nice time with your friends or your family or wherever you are, whether you're alone. I hope you have a nice time. If you're not celebrating, just relax and have a good time off, hopefully of work, if you can. And then I hope to be back before the new year. If not, thank you so much for your support over this last year. It's been a pleasure. And if you're still watching, wow, well done. Alright, I'm gonna stop now. Have a nice time, take care, and keep on knitting. Bye bye.